Here is my plan to increase my net income by about $2,000 a month, and I'm going to be using this income to pay off debt as quickly as possible, hopefully within the next 6 months. So the first part is my income. I'm going to be increasing it. I've actually already increased it quite a bit. The company I work for just went through a corporate merger. A lot of drivers quit, and that means there's lots of overtime for me. I suspect the overtime will continue for the next several months, possibly longer than that. And as of right now, I'm working about an extra 10 hours a week, which at my pay rate after taxes, I'm bringing in a little bit over $400 a week extra. So obviously that's a pretty substantial increase to my income. The next thing I'm going to do is sell my car. I mentioned this in a previous video that I was planning on selling my car, and I'm very confident that that's the right decision now. That Subaru Crosstrek is the best vehicle I've ever owned, but between the car payment, car tabs, which are crazy in Seattle, car insurance, also crazy in Seattle, and the maintenance, which I do have new tires and brakes that it's going to need fairly soon. It's just costing me way too much money to keep it around, and for at least the next 6 months, I'm probably not going to have the opportunity to drive it on a lot of longer adventures. So as much as I love that car, I like my freedom better. So I'm planning on getting rid of that car, saving myself about $1,000 a month right there. That brings my net income up to about $2,500 a month increase over what I was making back in December. The next thing I'm going to do is close out my storage unit. I've been really on the fence about exactly what I want to do with that storage unit. I've really contemplated taking my stuff and just putting it in a smaller one. The only thing I'm really attached to in there is my sailboat, even though I haven't sailed it in years. It was my first really big boat building project that I worked on, and it was all of my project. My dad did help, especially finance it, but he's the doctor, he's not a woodworker, so he didn't really know what he was doing either when we were building it. It ended up in a really beautiful looking boat, and it sails wonderfully, but I don't really see it being a part of my future, and so I'm most likely going to be selling that sailboat. I'm going to talk to my dad about it. I think he's probably going to be on board, but it is his project as much as it is mine. So together we'll come up with a plan of putting it up for sale, and whether or not I actually bring in any money from that or not, I don't know. Probably not would be my guess. But everything else in that storage unit, I can hire a junk collector to clear it out. There are definitely some things, some tools and stuff that I want to take and just put in my apartment here somewhere. But most of the stuff is just junk and it needs to go away. I'll call a junk collector. Sounds like it'll cost $200 to $300, something like that, to clear it out. And that'll be $400 a month off my books. So I believe that brings my total up to about $2,900 a month increase in net income, something like that. And the last thing I'm going to do, there are some things I just need to get rid of around the apartment. One of them I'm going to sell, and that is my piano. And I know it's not going to be the most popular thing for me to sell. Lots of people, especially family members, are not going to be happy that I'm selling the instrument that I spent so many years training to play. But I don't really have time to play right now, and it doesn't really suit my needs anymore. The case is falling apart. One of the audio outputs is not working. I also really just can't play in this apartment. It makes too much noise even with headphones on, so it needs to go to a good home, and I would much rather put that money towards debt at this point. Sometime down the line, once I have a better place to live, I'll definitely get back into playing piano again, but for right now, that piano's gonna go. It might only be worth a few $100s anymore, but is one less thing that I have to worry about, and one less thing I have to move later on. Overall, I'm going to try to sell or get rid of everything in my apartment and in my life that isn't directly related to either this boat project or YouTube. And that's because I don't plan on staying here long term. If I'm successful in pulling off all of these things, I could theoretically pay off my debt in 3 to 4 months. I think realistically it's going to be more like 6. But my goal is to pay off all my debt except my student loans, which I still need to think about exactly how I want to tackle those. Everything except those student loans should be paid off in 3 to 4 months if I am successful in completing this plan. That is 3 to 4 months after I finish executing this plan. It might take me 2 or 3 months to execute this plan, which means it's probably going to be 6 months from now by the time I am debt-free except for my student loans.